Good evening, folks. Welcome to United Real Therapy. Big up to everybody. Hopefully, we got Mundo will join us soon, and we got Tom joining us soon. Big up to everybody. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I think if you see the thumbnail says it all, people. We've got 3 different issues to deal with after that horror show on Tuesday. Today's a Thursday. I've had a day to think about it, what I saw and what needs to change at this football club. But we need to genuinely think about it. So we've got 3 things. So first of all, United is broken. Ten Hag is in a lot of mess. He's in a lot of shit. And Manchester United's broken. Big up, Tom. Are you there, Tom?
Yeah, big up, Meridian.
Big up,
Mundo.
Tom.
Therapy army as always, people.
Yeah, big up. Just doing a bit of the intro. I believe we buy Manchester United is broken because it's been going on for too long. This has been going on for a decade. And it's significant because a decade is a long time in football. 3 years is a long time in football. The reason why Manchester United is broken is I think everybody knows what's going on. I think everybody's aware of what's happening and why this club is broken. And all of it lies with the Glazers. Now, saying that, they signed players and they signed managers who actually do all right in other clubs. They signed them, and then they also signed players who have been big or had big careers at other clubs. And then so those players come in to get are here basically for their last contract. They come to get paid. They're here for payday. That's what the symptoms has been for the past decade. So they sign managers who might have done well at other clubs. They sign players who have been successful at other clubs, and then they come into this, and there is a virus. Somebody used to say there's a virus. Obviously, they used to blame Pogba and go, Pogba's the virus. No. The virus at Manchester United has been there way before Pogba, way before anybody else. The virus is the people who own the club and the bankers who run it. That virus, like most viruses, affects everybody and debilitates is the word, debilitates everybody. So the virus from the owners to the bankers who they put in charge, then spreads to the players and managers they hire. So I repeat, Manchester United has a virus. It's been a decade-long virus. It is a terminal virus for thus far. Until you cut the virus, you get rid of the virus at source, the infections are going to continue and continue. So the infections are going to come because the virus, you will still have it, and it will infect you, and it will just run a madness. So Manchester United is this virus, it's the Glazers, the bankers, and then the managers they hire, and the players they sign. And this continues and continues. Now, so the club is broken. The only way you get rid of that, we saw on Wednesday night, they got Newcastle. You got to respect that. They literally made a bunch of individuals. I mean, I'm just like Luis Enrique. What are you doing? He plays 2 strikers and plays the best wide guy in the middle. I mean, the tactics were just all over the place. It was surreal. It was absolute surreal. He played 4 up front and 6 at the back. Like 4 are constantly attacking and 6 are like try to fight. It was just so. I put the tweet out. There you go. You can see. I put the tweet out. I said, a team will always be a bunch of individuals. At this moment in time, Manchester United is not a team. It doesn't look like a team. So that's the big thing. That's the intro. Now, the club is broke. That's the intro. The intro then is like the experienced players that we've bought. What is the point of the experience if they can't help the football club and help the other teammates? So what's the point of gathering experience as an experienced player if you can't then help players on the football pitch that you're way more experienced in. What's the point? I made a charge. The video, the Saeed match reaction went viral on Saeed TV. Saeed's match reaction, I came to it. I was absolutely fuming. If we didn't play, if we played shit and Galatasaray bobbed us all over the park, I would be like, yeah, they were better the team. We actually played well in a lot of patches. We had control of that game. And then to actually give gifts like his early Christmas presents, early Eid presents, just early, like we're just giving them the presses, like, yeah, Christmas, before even Christmas, we're giving it to them. So this is the question, people. Now, this time, the big questions, like they were around Moyes, they were around Louis van Gaal, even though Louis van Gaal, they sacked Louis van Gaal when he won the cup. The only manager in United's history to ever be fired when he actually just there the trophy next to him at Wembley. The journalist told him that he was being sacked. And that's what tells you, because he missed out on top four by goal difference. So this idea, the idea of this football club being a football club, all of that is gone. When they sacked Louis van Gaal, actually, when he found out in the press conference in the FA Cup final, after the FA Cup final. So anyway, so then you got the experienced players. Then you've got now Erik ten Hag being caught in a catch-22. Now we're going to argue why he should drop the stars. Unana, Rashford and Bruno, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. I do not want to see them against Brentford. I'm not here to see them. Now, we have to also see it from Ten Hag's point of view. And if he was to drop them, then it's a bit of a catch-22 because he can't drop his stars that he relied on heavily last season. Because if he loses, then the pressure even more builds for him to get in the sack. So we'll break all that down. But let's get into it, people. I just wanted to give you an overview of what we're going to talk about in the show. But big up to everybody. There's only nearly 200 of you in here. Smash a like on the video. It helps us, the channel. You're not going to get this type of level of in-depth conversation that here we're not blaming individuals. We're just looking at explaining exactly where the blame lies. And everybody's a victim. But the players are in control. The Glazers don't hold their legs. Don't tell them not to run. Glazers don't tell Rashford not to run. The Glazers don't tell Bruno that to be headless and to be petulant and arguing with referees and stuff like that. They don't tell them that. So they're not helping themselves. But they've been bent out by this manager who banked on them last season. And now it caught up with them. And how do I know? Because I was the only... I'm not going to swear. I've tried to promise that I'm not going to swear. I was the only one that was telling you all and in the United fan base, warning you about the start this season could have. Why is that? Because I've watched enough football to know that happens. And why is that? Because I saw it happen to Liverpool. I saw them go for 4 trophies, go to 3 finals, took the league to the last game of the season. The season after, horrendous start to the Premier League. They only recovered towards the end of the Premier League. So, it is what it is, people. But Tom, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Like I said, you're not going to get a level of analysis in any other channel. You're going to get clickbait. We don't clickbait here. I'm genuinely broken. What any of you saw that viral clip that's been shared around by me effing and blinding is real. I'm not an actor. I'm not somebody who puts it on. This is how I felt. It's raw, it's real, and it's red. This is it. I see red. It's real because I'm not acting. It's raw because it's raw emotion. And it's red because it's Manchester United is about the Reds, but it's also red because that's what I see. I see the red mist come over me. So there where we are. But Tom, how are you? Are you in the seven cold hills, or are you somewhere international man of mystery, as you usually are, Tom?
No, we're in the 7 hills really, and yeah, we've been all good and everything, and yeah.
How are you? Have you recovered from that? Have you recovered from that shit show on Tuesday?
No, I'll be honest with you. No, you can't recover from something like. Do you know something? It was very. The way that we lost the game, it was very Sevilla-esque. If people understand what I mean by that. With that Mourinho game with Sevilla, it felt like that game hurt. We know
Now that
that
broke
game
me.
is.
It's the only game I've
That
ever
game,
walked out in my lifetime. It's the only
yeah,
game in all the years, in 30 odd years of going to that stadium. It's the only time I've ever walked out.
yeah. Well, even in that scenario, when Casemiro gets sent off, like, come on, I bet the stadium was already empty in Reading. Correct me if I'm wrong. The stadium would have probably already been empty as soon as Casemiro gets sent off. But no, it will have broken a lot of United fans, and I'm not surprised with the way that you reacted anyway in Reading, because I think a lot of us in that situation would have been doing the exact same thing. But at the end of the day, football's passionate, and when when you get served up with the shite that we had to deal with, especially in that second half, I mean, we were two. The funny thing, we were 2-1 up in this game. We were 2-1 up. The stadium were bouncing after that second Højlund goal. Like, and then from that to then nothing. And we absolutely capitulate and basically bottled it toward the end. I mean, it was shocking at the end of the day from the players. Yeah, incredible, really. Unfortunately, it's not the right incredible that we want to hear with Manchester United. But yeah, I'm all good and everything, and yeah, I hope everybody in the chat, anybody who's coming in, like, share, subscribe as always, people. And like Nuruddin said, you won't get this sort of fan engagement reaction anywhere else on YouTube. So yeah, least you can do is share, subscribe, or like.
Yeah, big up. Make sure you check Tom out, Tom Journalist 1 on Twitter. That's his handle, Mundo. Hopefully one of these days he start tweeting. Hope when the Glazers go. Big up Jarvis, please join us. Big up Alien Tenno. Oh yeah, and then we're gonna talk about what the Glazers do by selling, I think, a couple of thousand, if I'm not mistaken, tickets to the Galatasaray fans, and then now try to blame fans for selling their own tickets.
They're trying to they're trying to justify it because they're saying it's the season ticket holders or the European place ticket holders that have basically been able to share them. It's BS.
Yeah,
bollocks.
Yeah, listen. When you have if you're supposed to be a team and a football club, and you know that there's no synergy in the football club, we can be violated, Alien Tenno, because the club, we've got owners and bankers who play against us, who are against us. So of course we're going to be open to other people, other clubs coming and taking the absolute piss and violating us. Yeah, Tuesday was shambolic. Old Trafford got violated. Big up to you, Alien Tenno. There we go. Mupsy TV says, if we lose on Saturday, I will boo every single player on that pitch. When they come round clapping the fans, properly useless cowards. Yeah, Mupsy TV, big up to you. Thanks so much for the super chat. Love and light, bro. Always love. So yeah, we've got a couple of questions. So I'm gonna put these questions at the end. I'm gonna try to save these questions at the end. So if any of you want to got any questions, get your questions in. Hopefully we'll try to answer them at the end. Big up to good topics. Players need to drop. Yeah, big up to the Lietson. Hope you good, bro. All the way there in the US of A. Nuruddin, deep down, do you believe Ten Hag can turn it around at least to get top 4? At this moment in time, I don't have any belief in anybody. I don't have belief in anybody. But sacking another manager, the only thing that I believe is that sacking a manager is not going to fix this. That's what I believe. And I'm not precious about Erik Ten Hag. I'm not precious about any player. I'm not precious about any manager. But my fundamental belief is that I do not think deep down on 100% that sacking a manager is going to fix this. It's not. New owners, well, I think new owners can fix this. Nuruddin, we should have signed Diego Costa from Sporting Lisbon and Anna shit on the ball, passing and saving. Listen, Mohammed Hassan, I argued for this for a long time, bro. But big up to you. So Tom, I'm gonna get you in first. Hopefully, then Mundo will join us then. So I'm gonna start with you first.
I'm ready when you
Manchester
are.
United. Oh yeah, big up Mundo. How you doing, bro? Long time. You well?
Yeah, not too bad, bro. Not too bad.
Right. Well, you've been watching from far, the shambolic. I've been going to the stadium. So at least you're a bit detached. I don't know if you've seen my viral clip that went a bit far. Went a bit viral.
I have seen it, and basically, I think you captured the feelings of the majority of the fan base with that rant. So big up.
Yeah, man. Big up my love, and big up to
Big up.
Jarvis.
Big
Yeah,
up.
man like Rick Astley. Never gonna give you up.
Never
I
gonna
think
give
I'm-
you up.
I think I'm about to give up, but anyway, big up to everybody. So the biggest thing is, I think what we have to address is that we have to, because obviously, because we all love our football club, we love Manchester United, we care about the football club, we have an emotional bond. We're in a very abusive, very, very toxic and abusive relationship with the owners and the bankers that run this football club. And then we're also in an abusive relationship with the players and the certain managers that come into this football club, because we're at their beck and call. What they do affects us so much in terms of the football that we want to see and play. So for me, I think, yes, it's raw to blame players, yes, because I see players who are other clubs who are not as talented doing the basics. And the idea of them not doing the basics hurts. That's what hurts. I think that if the player's not good enough, they're not good enough. But if you're not doing the basics, then to me, most fans will think you're cheating. You're cheating the fans. You know what I mean? So that hurts. But the big question is, we're not that football club that we were. Even towards the end of Fergie, we knew we weren't that football club. We all would like to think, I mean, at the moment, David Beckham documentaries on Netflix, apparently. I've not watched it yet because I'm sick of harping on to the past. Like, we've become a Wikipedia page. You know what? We're all like, back in my day. You know, I mean, I just give the context score. I've seen Manchester United win everything. Mundo has seen Manchester United win everything. Jarvis has seen Manchester United win everything. Tom has seen Manchester United win most things. Tom, am I right? You've seen United win
you're right. But
a lot of the big trophies.
I'm a lot younger than you lads anyway. So.
Yeah, but you have seen. You're one of those. You experienced.
I saw 2013 Premier League title lift and everything. So I've seen
So
big
there we go.
trophies.
Yeah, exactly. So the point what I'm trying to say that, and I want to ask you guys the question: are we really? We have the fan base, 100%. We have the stature and the history and the prestige, right? So we have that. So we have the global fan base, the history, the prestige. We have the biggest stadium in a land, even though it's crumbling. So we've got a couple of elements that makes us like this, and we also have the notoriety. So we have the fan base, we have the prestige and the culture. We have the biggest stadium in the country, and then we have the fame of being Manchester United global. You know, and that idea of being global. And then the fifth thing is that we have the club propaganda and the media clickbait because of the size of the fan base. So these are the things. But actually, inside the football club, we are this. Manchester United have turned from this, we've shrank into this. And it's very difficult for us to deal with the idea that we are this. This is the love that we have, and the emotion we have for our football club. But our football club has been really reduced to this. Because it can't be that players from other clubs are failing. Players who perform for other clubs are failing. Players who are in their last contracts are coming to get paid because only Manchester United pay that level of money for you to come and get that pay. So I'm going to go to Mundo first, and then I go to Tom and then Jarvis. Mundo, do we need to have a realistic reset so that we're not damaged emotionally to protect ourselves? That actually the football club is this and it operates like this, you know, as a small club mentality.
I think the problem is that if we accept the reality, then what we're doing is we're accepting the Glazers. So we should never accept the reality. Yes, we are a long way from where we were when Fergie was in charge, but we should never ever lower our standards. So yes, there has to be, to some degree, an acceptance that we're not that team anymore. When we're a long way from Manchester City, for example, But that doesn't mean that we have to settle for that, because and that is the thing. It's the lack of it's a kind of acceptance from a portion of the fan base in terms of saying, well, we spend money, we get managers, the Glazers are not an issue, so on and so forth. Obviously, there is a very strong vocal anti-Glazer movement within the fan base, but you've also got those fans who are kind of saying what the rival fans say about us in terms of, well, you spend money, so on and so forth, what's the problem? But I said very early on in the season, before the season even started, I believe, that I don't really care what standards the club are setting, and I don't really care what standards the players are setting, because I think it's for the fans to set the standards at the club. I think it's for the fans to have a particular viewpoint in terms of saying, this is what we expect from our football club. When you see other teams such as Barcelona and Real Madrid, and the players are not performing, and the manager's not up to scratch, and there's issues with the board, those guys riot. The white flags are coming out. That's what we need at Manchester United, because if you don't demonstrate in that way, if you don't show the club and you don't show the players and the manager and whoever else associated with the club your dissatisfaction, then they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. There's no incentive for them not to do what they're doing. So we need to keep up this campaign against the owners, because I finally come round to the conclusion, or finally landed on the conclusion that it doesn't really matter who the manager is at the football club. It doesn't really matter who we sign, right? I've been very optimistic for a long time, thinking, oh, if you bring in this particular person, that might fix the problem. But ultimately, we have tried, well, I say we, the club has tried every single approach, and to date, every single approach they've tried has failed. They've tried going down the path of getting the established world-class footballers. They've tried going down the route of getting young players. They've tried going down the route of the manager that has the CV and comes in and wins straight away. They tried going down the route of getting the manager that is a coach in Ten Hag, and can get the best out of players. And we're seeing Ten Hag struggling. So we have to accept that, and I'm going to borrow a term from you, Structure, there is no saviour out there that's going to save us under this ownership. That is what we have to accept as a fan base. There is no magic bullet that's going to come in and solve this problem. The only way this problem can be solved is by getting rid of these vultures out of our football club. That is the only way. Because when you look across, there's evidence staring us in our face. When you look across football as a whole, whether it be the Premier League, Spanish League, German League, French League, wherever you look, the teams that are successful, and I don't mean short-term success, winning the odd tin pot trophy here, there, and everywhere. I'm talking about those clubs that consistently challenge for the Premier League or their respective leagues and for the European trophies, are those clubs that have a stable structure. And you never hear those clubs talking about, we need to get a particular manager to make us win. You don't hear Barcelona and Bayern Munich and Manchester City saying, we need to get this manager to make us win. No, they don't rely on that. What they rely on is them having a proper footballing structure, and it doesn't really matter who the coach is to a degree. Now, Manchester City have managed to get a generational manager, which means that they are levels above all the other clubs in the league. But I'm pretty confident that if Manchester City got somebody else who was a very good coach, like, for example, Ten Hag will go into Manchester City, and I guarantee would perform much, much better than what he's doing currently at Manchester United. That is down to the environment and the structure and the support that he has within that club, which he doesn't have at Manchester United. So the problems we're seeing now are problems that every single manager post Fergie has faced. So
yeah, Yeah.
We have to be real. We have to keep it real here. There's no point in going in on the manager. Yes, the manager's not bulletproof, and you can't. If what's happening at the moment continues, we can't just sit here idle and say, back Ten Hag, whatever. That's just nonsense. We can't do that. But at the same time, there has to be some acknowledgement that of the environment in which he's working. I don't necessarily.
100%.
Yeah.
Can I ask you the question?
Go ahead.
Obviously, we've not spoken to you since then. Do you think sacking him is the answer?
I don't think sacking him is the answer. What I will say is, let's just say that we get to Christmas and our form hasn't changed and we are struggling as we are at the moment. Then it's difficult to make a case for him to keep his job. But sacking him, so yes, maybe he should be sacked. But it doesn't mean that the next guy that comes in is going to make turn us, do any better. That is the problem. And the thing is, my issue with Ten Hag is that, for me, it feels like he's allowed the club to influence him to a degree that he's kind of moved away from his principles. What I would have liked to have seen, and the reason why I wanted Ten Hag is because of the style of football. So if Ten Hag had come to the club and implemented that style, for me, if you play a certain style of football and you have you have players of a certain level, then at some point you will win trophies. That's just how it is, and you can't. And as a fan base, I don't think we're demanding that our club wins trophies every single season. I think what we're asking for is that we are competitive. Yeah, because we have to accept that there are other big clubs who have big budgets like we do and have structures and so on and so forth. The Premier League is a very competitive league. So, and Liverpool, who have been held out as being one of the best teams ever, right? We've heard that said, better than Man United's treble team, so on and so forth. I've only won one Premier League title, right? So even if you've got the best manager, a top class manager like Klopp, and even if you have players like Salah, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to win. But what it does guarantee is that squeaky bum time, you are in the mix, and that is what we're asking for as a fan base. We're saying we want to be in the mix, but we can't even get in the mix.
No, we can't. We can't get in the mix.
Underlying problem.
We can't get in the mix, and this is the bigger thing. So it's the minimum. So I'll ask the question again, Tom, to you, and we've got Eski join us. Big up Eski, and we'll say this: do Manchester United need to? We need a cultural reset in terms of fans' expectations, because when we have the prestige, we have the history, we have the notoriety, we have the name, but we behave like a minute club that's got a virus. The club's broken. Basically, it's broken. It's really broken. So do we need to reset our expectations, or do you agree with Mundo when he says that no, what we need to do is keep the expectations high?
I think you always have to keep your expectations high. At the end of the day, love it or hate it, we're Manchester United. We've been in.
But are we
moments.
though, Tom? But are we really? Are we
not
that
right
Manchester
now.
United?
We're not that Manchester United. We are a new Manchester United because we're in a completely different era. You've had 10 years of absolute shambolic negativity, and every single one of our big rival clubs, who we've had major hostility rivalries with for well over a couple of decades, you can even say it for what it is. Chelsea, when Mourinho was there and Ferguson, that was a rivalry. Wenger at Arsenal with Manchester United and Ferguson, that was a rivalry. All of these other clubs have been progressing. They've done well in those 10 years. Manchester United, we've regressed at the end of the day. So expectations, you've always got to have high expectations at Manchester United, because at the end of the day, we've done what's been done. Some football clubs, it takes them years to build what we've done. Manchester City, it took them over £1 billion. It took them 5 years with the best, as Mundo said, a generational manager to equal what we did, upwards of 20, 30 years ago nearly. So at the end of the day, Manchester City, in the biggest rivalry that we have today, they're creating the history that we've already built. We built what they're building right now years ago. But in the generation that we're in right now, with how our football club is, we're shocking. The club structure, you don't have any sort of relevant people with the right qualifications who know business and football. If you want to be a football CEO, you need to know how the football side of the club works. So, what sort of development do you need? You need to know about this, like we've been discussing before, in sports science and development, recovery facilities. You need to have the best quality facilities for your players, but also you as the person in that hot seat need to have the qualification to know how to run the football, but the business. Ed Woodward tried it, and he had a financial background. And don't get me wrong, from a financial aspect, he was doing quite well. He was making Manchester United money. But from the football side of things, we know he was shocking. And Richard Arnold's no different. If anything, to be honest with you, I think Richard Arnold's doing a poorer job right now. Because we've spent even more money, closer to what Ed Woodward did, in that £1 billion. We've already spent 400 million in 2 windows. And as we've said, Nuruddin, we all sitting out, we're broken. We are a broken football club. You have better football clubs that are recruiting and then can get a top sporting director out of another club right now. And I use the exact Aston Villa. They just got Monchi out of Sevilla. He's been at Sevilla 5-6 years. Top sporting director in European football. And they just pulled him out of there with no phase, no hesitancy whatsoever. And he's already and he's now their new sporting director. Manchester United, the way that the club anyway portrayed it to us as fans, and everybody bought it, let's be honest, some people were believing this little pyramid that was going to be built. You was going to have Ralph Ragnick with the technical director. You were going to have Paul Mitchell be his number 2 and stooge. And then you were going to have Erik ten Hag as the manager. And it was all going to flow through that, and Murto was going to fit somewhere in between all of that. Or he wasn't going to fit in at all. That's what people were led to believe. When people saw Ralph Ragnick and Paul Mitchell in the stands, everybody thought something was going to happen there. And the guy's left Monaco now as well, funnily enough. But Manchester United, and at the end of the day, Nuruddin, the club needs a whole reset. We know this. The structure is piss poor. The Glazer family, yeah, as much as rival fans want to say it, they've spent money. Yes, they've spent money. You're giving people money, the license to print money, who don't know how to distribute the money properly. How can you have 2 CEOs in the last 10 years never have a builder, a constructor, or even a digger go anywhere near Old Trafford? How is that a CEO? It's not. At the end of the day, it's not. So the club structure is one thing, and with Erik ten Hag, at the end of the day, as Mundo rightly put it, you can have Pep Guardiola coming here tomorrow. He will fail. He will be in the exact same boots that Erik ten Hag is in right now. And do you know something? I think Pep Guardiola would explode and react to it. And do you know something? He's a generational manager, because if something's not going well for him, he'll pull the plug and he'll walk away, because he has more respect for himself than that. And at the end of the day, we don't have an elite football director right now. And anybody who saw that press release that came out today around John Murto, other football clubs taking a piss out of him. Because
What
he doesn't
happened,
have
Tom? I didn't see it.
There was this report that came out, I think it was in the Telegraph, that reported that John Murto doesn't have the contact list within world football with some of the big football clubs to do football deals, to do player sales, to do any sort of negotiations. He doesn't have the contacts that say, for example, like I used before, Monchi, who's worked at Sevilla for 5-6 years, has those European contacts. You have Tixi Berenstein. He probably knows every single agent in world football's phone number. John Murto, he probably doesn't even know how to use a phone, from what that report was inclining. And at the end of the day, when you have a football director who was at Everton, comes over to United, spends 6 years here, and then suddenly he's put into the, if we're being honest, I think the most important role in Manchester United, barring the coach, is being the football director. And you have every single top European football club, when they bring in a sporting director, it's not somebody that's come through the ranks. It's somebody that they go and get for a purpose and a reason. You know why? Because they want to win. They want to be successful. Manchester United, it's let's penny pinch. And at the end of the day, when we talk about club structures, unless you're going to go out there and get a top football operator, and let's be honest with you, people phrase it, Wreck-It Ralph. He fucking wrecked this football club around. And in the 4 months that he was here, he absolutely showed up. John Murtough, Richard Arnold, Darren Fletcher, he showed all of them up, Nuruddin, because he told everybody, you might as well just rip the team apart, open heart surgery, 10 new players in, new coach, start afresh. That's what this guy said, and this guy's got over 25 years. And I've always coined the phrase, turned an energy drink, Red Bull, into 2 football clubs. But at the end of the day, people don't want to talk about the Lord and Saviour at the end of the day. But to answer the final point that we were just discussing beforehand regarding Ten Hag, or if it gets to Christmas and the same thing's going on, it'll be very hard to not justify why he should stay. It'll be very hard. Because at the end of the day, I've already openly criticised him after that Bayern Munich game, and I said, listen, the style of play just isn't coming together. You can't spend the amount of money that this guy has in 2 windows, 2 pre-seasons. We basically gave him a free hit last season. If we got top 4, if we won a trophy, brilliant. If we didn't, I don't think a lot of us were bothered because we were willing to persevere. But second season, we need to start seeing something. And at the end of the day, other big football clubs get run absolutely shy. But do you know what, Nuruddin? They play good football. That's the one thing you can say. Spurs play good football. Run absolutely shy by Daniel Levy, but they play good football.
Well, they only started playing good football when they signed the manager that wants to play good football.
Wants to play good football.
Before they had Conte and Jose.
Well,
like some United fans wanted Conte.
We've had these sort of managers as well. But these managers won mediocre trophies, but it's not what we all wanted. And we played what? Shite football. And at Old Trafford, you can't play that kind of football at the end of the day. But with this whole saga that we're spinning around with Murtough, Ten Hag, if I'm being completely honest, I'm sick of hearing these people's names. I hear big football clubs, when they have a sporting director, they do a press release every couple of weeks. They actually talk openly about what the football club is doing, or we do a club interview. John Murtough, you hear him make a appraisal quote last season saying that we're recruiting the world's top number 9s. You didn't sign a world's top number 9. You signed a prospect player in Rasmus Højlund, who, bearing in mind, has been okay for us right now. But these guys, they're just incompetent. And it's not about the level of experience, Nuruddin, like you was talking about with Casemiro and Varane. It's not about the level of experience, it's the quality of experience that these guys have. And they have nothing. They don't have the quality of experience in these roles. So, at the end of the day, where do we go from here? Well, if you want to start from scratch, we do what we all want. You need a new ownership. You need somebody who's going to come in, have that 60-day period, and then is going to rip everybody out. Bye-bye, Richard Arnold. Bye-bye, everybody. Exactly. And start from scratch. Level playing field.
Big up, Tom, with that analysis. Jarvis, do we need to reset our expectations? Do we need to, because we have all of the size big, but then we're small. We are very small the way we run.
Yeah.
Your fellow Scandinavian fellow said it. He said, I paraphrase him, Zlatan, while back. He said Manchester United looks huge and big in the inside. It's very small mentality. So talk to me. Do we need to, as fans, just to protect our own emotions, we're not Manchester United. It's Manchester United. We're not that Manchester United anymore.
No.
We're not.
It's times has changed, and now we're not that club we used to be. I don't know when we talk about resetting the expectations. At the moment in the last 10 years, it feels like we have been banging our head against the wall. And we have expectations every season before the season starts. Wow, we signed Falcao. Wow, we signed Di Maria this season. We will fight for the title finally. But everything just crumbles and falls apart. So for our own sake, yeah, maybe it's good to reset the expectations and like face the fact that we are not the club we used to be. But the problem is, if we do that, the Glazers have won. So in a way, I think to keep the fight going, we has to have these expectations, because we are Man United. We are the most winning club in England. We have a history of winning, and we can't accept being mediocre. So for me, I don't think we should reset our expectations. We should keep the pressure going on the Glazers, the bankers, the shambles of a board, and director of football, and Arnold and Murtog, and all of those guys. They don't know what they're doing. They are incompetent, and it's very important that we keep the pressure and keep the expectations high, because we are Man United.
Yeah, big up. Eski, do Manchester United fans need to reset their expectations of the football club, because the football club's broken? Do we need to protect ourselves? Big up to you, bro.
Oh, big up everyone. Big up Tom, man. Agree with everything everyone said. John, I felt sorry for you doing Saeed's fan cam, man, when you had to walk off, man. Because you know what? Like, I feel you. Everyone feels like you, but you know what it is? I knew we were going to lose this game. It's not one of them, I told you so, it's whatever. But my confidence has been shot for ages now. Like I said it on this podcast last season, it says, look, we are a mid-table side, right, under this ownership. We're not going nowhere. We're not competing, and we're probably not going to get relegated. Definition of a fucking mid-table side. All I want to see is good football. And we had some of that last season, and I was very on board. But now the good football's gone to pot. We ain't got the home fortress anymore. We're still shit away and everything else. But for me, everyone's talks about the culture of the club and everything else, the ownership. We all know that. I want to go on at these players personally. Right, because if the narrative becomes, do we get rid of the manager? Is it still bad at Christmas? Well, this is the same conversations we had under Ollie. Now, I know majority of this podcast were against Ollie and wanted him to go at a certain time. And when he got sacked, I also felt it was the right time to go. However, I was offering the option that if you don't give him time and you get a new manager in and he's in the same position, what do you do? Now, you fast forward a year and we're in the same position. So what do? Do you just have the same thing again? Do you get rid of him, you get the new guy in, and you wait for that to implode? I think you stick with him. I was listening to Stretford Paddock before. Adam McCullough made a brave statement. He said, if I was the board and he had any sense about him, offer him a new contract, offer the manager 2-3 years, offer him that support. Because it would say at least to these players, look, this gaffer's staying around. You just need to fix up. Because if the players can come here and think, oh, it'll be gone soon anyway, we've done it to Jose, Ollie Ragnick was just a mess about anyway, then they can fuck off. Because I'm sick of it. Like, I can see it week in, week out. And I'm not blaming the new guys. It's not their fault. Hoyland's been amazing. Amrabat's not a left back. And Mason Mount's been very good. But the core of this team that has stayed since Ragnick, since Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ollie, they need to be questioned. Maybe not sell all of them, but they do need to be questioned. But Ralph Ragnick looks like an oracle now, like a prophet, because he just spoke the truth, and we're seeing it here before our eyes. But I need to go on at these players, because the board are always going to be shit. We know that. What can we do? Well, these players can go out there and fucking show something. Yeah, they can go out there and put effort in. And like Nuruddin always says, there's a way to lose. There is a way to lose. Against Galatasaray, is that a way to lose? Bayern Munich, is that a way to lose? I'm sorry, it's becoming a joke. I remember, Nuruddin, remember we got beat at home 3-0 under Tottenham years ago under Jose, but all the fans were happy. You would have thought we drew the game, because you know why? We went at it, the team give it from minute 0 to 90. I've not seen a performance like that. Remember that day? I remember that day.
It's one of the only games of Jose where I clapped him because he attacked.
Yeah. That was the one game where you thought, oh no, he's actually changed it here. He's gone 180 and he's doing that. But this is what we are. This is who we are. And if we don't have players that are mentally tough enough to do it, I don't think this should be it. I really don't. I know mental health's the big thing nowadays. And there's reports today coming out. Ten Hag can't shout at the players. He's scared. He's scared that the morale's just going to go lower. It's a disgrace. Has anybody seen the David Beckham documentary that's come out? I've seen some quotes and people talking about it. They're saying, like, look at the character he had to have. Death threats, kidnapping threats, for all that stuff that happened with England, the start and the third. You never heard a peep. He goes, his dad's an old school bricklayer or plumber from London, and he would have said to him, toughen up and get on with it. And I'm not saying everyone needs to be like that, but I'm saying there isn't an ounce of that in this team. It's a disgrace. It's absolute disgrace.
We're in a different time, to be fair. But this is the next question we're going to come to. But let me just get this super chat. Big up to our brother Faoud. Big up Kadani Ami. Big up. He says, Ralph played Ilanga, Telles over Shaw, Rashi, Aaron Bissaka for his surgery. Eric Ten Hag came in, got new contracts, said squad finished second, put the plaster on it. Brilliant. Big up to Jason. Jason also said, fans stop going on about money spent in the transfer market as something good. These Muppets overpaid so they remain asset that can't be sold. Wake up now, 100%. That's part of it. The Glazers do that as well. SK, I'm going to stay with you.
Go on, bro.
What's the point of having experienced players if they don't use their experience to help the manager and to help the rest of the players? Or do we have to accept that the likes of Varane, the likes of Casemiro, they've just come to get paid? They were successful. They've had their time. They've now just to come to get paid. And only club who's fool enough to give them the contracts that they have is Manchester United.
Part of me thinks that. There is a part of me that thinks that, but the other part of me is thinking, well, look who he has to work with. Who's Varane partnering with? Maguire a lot of the time. All right, Martin. When he had Martinez, we had one of the best defences in the league last season. It wasn't because of David De Gea. Don't let people fool you. It's because we had a good two in front of him, so it did work. When Varane's partnered with a Lindelof, Johnny Evans did okay, not going to lie, but when he's partnered with a Maguire, a Lindelof, he does look a bit shoddy. So I might have to give him a bit of leeway and say, well, look who they're with, look who they have to work with, right? Same with Casemiro. Who's he got in midfield? Fucking headless chicken Bruno, McTominay at times. He had Fred last season. Who don't get me wrong, him and Fred did all right, man. That's Brazil's starting midfield there. Or it was for a long time. So they actually did okay. But no, you are Nuruddin, you are right with the question. What's the point of having these experienced players if Casemiro's going to fucking just get himself sent off? You're absolutely right. You had 20 minutes there in the game. We couldn't have scored some goals there in 20 minutes. You had to make that challenge. He might have missed the goal. He might not have scored. He missed a fucking penalty anyway. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. There's more players than that, Nuruddin. Rashford's experienced. Yeah. Bruno Fernandes is experienced. Captain of, United, been around there in Portugal. Yeah, there was a stat that come out. He, on average, has played like 91 minutes of football throughout the last however many years or whatever. It's him ranked number one over goalkeepers and shit like that. How can a midfielder be ranked over a goalkeeper in terms of minutes played and say he's not burnt out or he's not feeling nothing? It makes no sense just on a scientific level, on a physiotherapy level. I'm sorry, people need to fucking sort it out, or again with the fucking just don't sign a club doctor. But yeah, no, back to your main point. Yeah, there's pointless of having experience because you know what, Nuruddin, the youth are showing them up. Hannibal Mabry, Pellistri, Garnacho, Hoyland. The average age is 20 years old, and they're showing all of them up. So it is pointless, absolutely pointless having the experience. But I don't want to say they've come here for a payday. I think that's too harsh, and I'm not going to make that statement.
Big up. Happy to disagree. That's just analysis. That's all. It's a point of view. Jarvis, do you think it's important, these players? What's the point of having experience and signing players on their last contract? If Manchester United were a proper football club, would you sign players on their last contract?
Well, it's about a good mix between youth and experience. It always is. I think we are desperate. I think we don't have the pull anymore to attract the players that we want. I think the pull is the money, and then we get what we deserve. We get players who come here to get their last paycheck, and that's a big problem with our club. And I think we can thank Ed Woodward for that. He ruined the structure of wages in our club and the transfer budgets. So I think it will take a long time for us to fix that. The older players, the more experienced players, I think you are addressing Varane and Casemiro. When it comes to bigger games, when it comes to pulling us over the line, they need to step up. We saw it last season. At the end of the season, Casemiro dragged us over the line and got us Champions League and third place. He had a good ending of the season, but again, it comes in bits and pieces and just short spells of good play. And then again, they will drop down in performance. And players like that, they need to be consistent and reliable in the team. When it comes to Casemiro, he has got a lot of critic this year. For me, I think it's not just on Casemiro. It's obvious when you see late deep runs into our box and Casemiro doesn't have the ability to track them. So so the opposition score goals. We saw it against Brighton a couple of times, at least I think 3 times, especially on Welbeck's goal. They come on the flanks, they put in the ball 45 degrees, and there they come the late runs. We also saw it against Bayern Munich on Gnabry's goal. It was the same. We saw it against Galatasaray. So this is a big problem, tracking deep runs, and I think it comes to the system of Ten Hag. He plays the 3-1-6 when we attack, so Casemiro basically is alone to defend that area, and it's very hard for him because he don't have the mobility and the legs anymore. So I think Ten Hag needs to face the facts and maybe play two midfielders deeper, like Amrabat. But then he has to change his system, and I don't think he will do that. So let's see what will happen in the next couple of games. But I hope that he will play Amrabat a little bit deeper in the midfield beside Casemiro, or maybe it will work with the system he got if Amrabat can play the deep lying role by himself.
Yeah, big up IRL Itachi. Sorry, bro. I've been to the stadium. It's not about the formation or where you play. Casemiro's legs are gone. They're gone, and I said it before when we signed him. So I'm not saying something new. I always say this. His grandchildren are not even here yet. They're not born yet, but they're dancing on the Copacabana beach because nobody was giving him that contract. Nobody was giving him 5-year contract for that amount of money. No in the hell way. Last season, yeah, he did his job. I give him that. This season, he's been absolutely causing us. He's been a liability, like most of them. And I'm sorry to say, he's got absolutely zero to do with any system. He's got everything to do with his legs, and he can't do it anymore. He can't do it anymore.
Well, I disagree, Nuruddin. I think it's a system thing. I think when you play one,
we don't even have a system.
Cover all the width of the field. It's impossible to track the runs. And when we have the Bruno twins in front of him, they don't take defensive responsibility with Mason Mount and Bruno. They are too alike. They like to work hard and run a lot, but they don't track the runners. And McTominay, he can't track the runners. So I think that's a big problem. It's also, we see the burnout with Casemiro because he got played a lot of minutes last season, and he's getting older. We saw the same thing with Matic when Mourinho bought him. Matic was fantastic the first season, but he played every minute and he lost his legs. Then Solskjaer came in, he rested Matic for half a season, and then he was back and he played good again. So
yeah, I just basically, I think you could argue that when I'm in the stadium and I'm seeing things, I just see Casemiro hasn't got the legs anymore to get back. I think the system, yes, I'll have to agree because I don't see the system. I just see us headless chickens going all up front next to each other. I don't see any kind of like patterns to it. I just see headless chickens, and then I just see him always at a position. Mundo, I'll go to you. What's the point of having experience when experience doesn't help you when you need it the most?
A couple of points. I'll address the Casemiro thing first because that's what we're talking about in a minute.
It's not Casemiro, and Varane, basically.
And Varane. In terms of Casemiro's legs and the system, my problem is, I do think it is a system problem because why is Casemiro, out of the 3 midfielders that we play, why is he the guy that's on the ball the most? Why is it that he's expected to create? He's not a creative midfielder, but all of the opportunities that we create through our midfield seem to come from Casemiro. And it's almost like our manager's he's not Frankie de Jong. He's not going to break the lines. He hasn't got the passing ability of that type of player. The way that you play Casemiro in that kind of system is he sniffs out the danger. I don't want Casemiro. It's almost like there's over-reliance on him to score goals, to create, and to defend. If Casemiro just scores 1 goal a season, but snuffs out the danger and does his job defensively, I'm happy with that because that's the type of midfielder he is. We didn't expect Michael Carrick to create, score goals, and do such and such. We didn't expect Roy Keane to do all of that later on in his career. So the manager's got to make.
But I'm sorry, Mundo. But this is what I'm saying to you. This is part of the experience, innit? Casemiro, as a very experienced player, can he not have a conversation with the manager and say to the manager, listen, I think we're getting a bit too exposed. We're getting this. I'm not that good on the ball. I can help you this way. Because, by the way, that happens with football. That happened with great teams that have won. Managers and experienced players see each other as and have a respect. The experienced player has a respect for the manager. The manager has a respect for the experienced players. And they actually come to an understanding. So why is Casemiro, like the brother says here, why does he get excited and runs into the box and leaves us wide open when he's so slow?
I agree with that. I don't want Casemiro running into the box. I want Casemiro doing what Casemiro does best, and that is sniffing out the danger and doing the defensive side of the game. If you ask any Manchester United fan, we don't expect Casemiro to get GA. We don't expect him to score goals and get assists. That is not his role in the job in a team. But I'm not willing to accept that Casemiro is just going off on a mad one, doing all of this by himself. It has to be something to do with the manager's instructions. It has to be. So we don't know. We're not privy to the conversations that players have with managers. So he might have had that conversation.
But Mundo, whether they happen, the conversations on the pitch is looking horrific.
No, it is
absolutely horrific.
But it's partly
it's so basic. It's unbelievable how basic it is. But it's embarrassing. It's laughable.
As our friend Rick Ashley pointed out, right, it is partly to do with the makeup on the midfield as well, right? So it is partly to do with the fact that he's got Bruno and he has Mason Mount alongside him, and that's a conversation for a different day in terms of who the manager should have bought, in terms of whether or not Mason Mount was the right guy to sign, so on and so forth. But if we're talking about experienced players, what you have to remember is that we have a squad of players, and in particular, we have certain players who I won't name, right, who for some reason buy into their own hype. What they need a reality check. What they need
name them, Mundo, name them, shame them. Come on, name them.
Right. So for example, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Maguire to an extent, not this season, obviously, he's not in the team, so you can't blame him, right? Those players, for example, they have to realise that you're not as good as you think you are because you haven't won anything, right? And their egos lead them to believe that they are some kind of, like Marcus Rashford has been hyped to the extent that people are talking about in the same breath as Mbappe, right? And all of this stuff, right? And it's almost like they're buying into that hype. And what I'm seeing on the football pitch is I'm seeing certain players who play as individuals and don't sacrifice themselves for the sake of the team, right? And the thing about world-class players and the thing about players that have experience and players that are winners and players that have the right mentality is that it's team over individual all day, every day, right? That's how they approach things. So I don't necessarily blame Varane and Casemiro because they've come from an environment where they've come from playing with players that have that mentality. We want to win, and we recognize that to win, we have to do it collectively and not as individuals. Right?
Yeah, Mundo, let me just answer this. Windy said, isn't it a contradiction to say players are fatigued and physically and mentally from being overplayed last season? As I say, they're too old and the legs have gone. Yes, Windy. But I promise you this, because of the amount of red cards and yellow cards he accrued, he had a couple of months off. If you looked at it in the season, and Varane only plays 3 months, he'll play for 2 months, he'll be out for 3 months, and he'll play for 1 month. So both of them have zero effing excuses to be done, to be fatigued and to be overplayed. Now, Bruno and Rashford, on the other hand, they will play to death, almost to death. Casemiro and Varane, because of the amount of yellow and red cards he accrued over the season, he had loads of time off. And Varane, we already know people. He'll play good for a month, get injured, be back 2.5 months later, get injured again, be out for 2.5 months. So both of them have got zero excuses.
But the thing is, right. So if we talk, so you're right. So there's a report that came out recently, within the last few days, to say that Bruno Fernandes has played the most minutes out of every footballer last season, and
Top
Marcus
5
Rashford,
leagues,
yeah, and Marcus Rashford is in the top 10, right? So yeah, they have played a lot of minutes, but you have to look at the manager and think. You have to recognise that Casemiro is in his 30s. You have to recognise that Varane is injury prone. So you have to adapt the way that you play, right? If you want to play those two players, you need to accommodate the fact that they're in their 30s and they're getting injured and they're not able to cover all that ground. But the manager instead is putting in place a system that requires more from Casemiro, right? Which is why you're getting the level of performance that you're seeing, in my view, right? I don't think it's too simplistic to say Casemiro legs have gone. I do think that there is some issues with the system.
Mundo, the most physical league, the most running league in the world football. No other league is that demanding physically and that demanding of you in terms of how you get up, right? It's crazy. I'll just say this quickly. Listen, Mundo, because I really want to get through to the main topics. To stay with you, you already addressed aspects of it. Is it time now for the manager to drop Onana? Is it to drop Rashford and to take Bruno out? It's not dropping them, but taking them out, because playing players who are fatigued to death and a player who's confidently gone, his confidence is gone, is actually really bad. It's really bad. If you're having really bad time at work will give you some time off for you to recover. So is it time for us to look at it? This is a job. He can't play them into form. He can't play Bruno into form. He can't play Rashford into form. And Onana needs to be taken out for a bit, for his own good.
The problem with the players...
Or do you understand?
Yeah.
Or do you understand that he can't do that because...
No,
catch-22. Go ahead.
The thing is, right, that the period, because I did say this last season when people were getting gassed about Rashford, I don't care if in the middle part of the season for 3 months you're getting goals and assists. What I'm looking for is consistency, right? And you delivering at the business end of the season. The thing about Rashford during that period when he was scoring goals and he was involved in pretty much everything, is that he simplified his game. He really did simplify his game. And the thing is, when you talk about managers like Ten Hag, even Klopp to an extent, and Pep, the players that work in their system are the players that don't try and be heroes. They simplify their game, right? And they follow the manager's instructions, right? They understand what their role is for the greater good of the team. And so I can't accept that Bruno shanking the ball and not being able to beat the first man on set pieces and running around headless, and Rashford getting the ball every single time, slowing the play down, trying to run past 3 players, is simply down to fatigue, right? I think that they are reverting to type, because that has been consistent with those 2 players in particular, right? And they are, for whatever reason, not following the instructions the manager is giving them, and they're just going off on their hero ball, individualistic, I want to win the game by myself, get my GA, whatever. And there has to be some humbling at the football club, and that's the manager's responsibility to say to those players, this is a team game, right? It doesn't matter if you don't score or get an assist. Just follow my instructions and do the job. Now, that is my concern, whether or not Ten Hag is getting that message across to those players. And the same goes for Casemiro, who maybe the manager in that system is not expecting him to do as much as he's doing, but maybe because he is a senior player, because he comes with that experience, that he feels that he has to sacrifice himself for the team to the extent that he is trying to do 10 jobs rather than just do that simple job that you should be doing. So there might be an element of that as well. But overall, we are not a football team that plays as a football team. That ultimately is the issue. And the manager has to fix that. He has to solve it. And I don't know whether or not Ten Hag has that if the players are buying into what he's trying to instill, because we're not seeing, in patches against Galatasaray, you would say that we've looked better than in other games. But I still don't think that we were at a level where I would consider us a football team, a very good football team. In that first half, in that game, we were still playing very much like individuals, as far as I'm concerned, right? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, during his tenure, there were games where you thought where Man United actually performed quite well. But they were playing as individuals. It was down to individuals. And if you rely on individuals, individual players will get injuries, right? So Varane will get injured. Casemiro will probably slow down because he's getting old. And Rashford and Bruno will continue to be inconsistent, right?
Facts.
So if you base your approach on individual players, then you will get inconsistencies. And they're
going to let you down. They're going to let you down. The system is what he needed to build the season before when he had the grace, because nobody expected anything from the first season. Jarvis, moving on.
Yeah, I just want to add one quick thing about what we were talking about. One of the biggest problem at the moment for Ten Hag is because he puts up his system, so we're very exposed in the back, and we basically play man against man, and we have our strongest one-against-one defenders out in Martinez and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We can see that. I saw the game against Galatasaray over again, and one of the worst performances at the pitch was Lindelof, actually. He was very weak against the Icardi and Dalot. We saw it all on the first goal when he came up against Wilfred Zaha. He was bobbed, as you will say, around the pitch because he's weak. He doesn't have the strength. And the one against one defending is one of the things that we need to be extremely good at for Ten Hag's system to work. When he played in Ajax, he had Matthäus de Ligt, he had Jurrien Timber, and he had Lisandro Martinez and Daley Blind as his defenders, and they are all very strong one against one. So that's also a big problem, because when we have weak defenders, we are getting very exposed. As you said, Nuruddin, we had a good game against Galatasaray in a way, but you see personal errors and weak defending that leads to goals. So that's also a big problem at the moment.
100%. Can you understand that dropping Rashford? He is the poster boy for Manchester United because of the propaganda PR stuff that the club has. And so is Bruno. Bruno is El Capitano. Can you understand from Erik Ten Hag's point of view that if he was to bench them, that if he loses, then he'll be near the sack because they're the face of Manchester United? Can you see it from his point of view? Why he can't drop them?
Well, I think managers, as most managers in work life and all areas, have their people they trust, and I think Ten Hag trusts Bruno and he trusts Rashford. As you have heard his press conferences, he talks about that Rashford is a creator, he can score goals, you just need him to get going, and I think Ten Hag strongly believes that Rashford is going to score a lot of goals. You just need to be in form, and I think it's very difficult for Ten Hag to bench him. The most sensible thing at the moment would be to bench both Bruno and Rashford, but it won't happen. I don't believe Ten Hag will bench them.
Okay. I think that's it. We covered the players being, that we covered. We talked about experience. We talked about the club being broken. Let's go to maybe some of the questions. Actually, yeah. Let's talk about a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit, guys, about the club selling tickets to Galatasaray fans and them turning up on their full kits and sitting amongst the United fans. I mean, I'll stay with you, Jarvis. Can you believe this stuff?
Yeah.
Can you?
It's. I sent an email yesterday because it was on Twitter, and I got an answer, and you all read the answer from the club on Twitter. They basically says that it was the season ticket holders who sold the tickets. It's totally BS. They take no responsibility. And even though I have a picture here that 58s sent, I can just share this slide if you can put it on screen. And there you see in the home section of Old Trafford, there's seats reserved, and there's a label on the seats that says guests in the home area on Old Trafford. So the club can lie, but the evidence is there. It's bullshit.
You should have seen it on the website. There were people checking. People were asking me for a ticket for the game, and they were checking their website, and they were like, "Whoa, 300 quid, 400 quid."
So did they sell the tickets at inflated price to the Gala fans?
Yeah. Have you seen the tickets? Have you ever gone on the website now, Mundo? If you go on the website, the tickets are like 500 quid, 400, and then when it comes to the match, closer to the kickoff, a match, if they're not sold, the price comes down. It's like Manchester United is the biggest tout going. So they're accusing the fans of touting their own tickets, being ticket touts. But Manchester United is the biggest ticket tout in the world, and they're blaming the fan base.
But you know what, right? There is a silver lining to this cloud, right? In that they are so desperate for money. This tells you that they're on the bones of their ass, right? That they're willing to tout tickets. I mean, selling tickets at 500 quid to 300 Galatasaray fans, it's not going to stave off FFP, and it's not going to give them any dividends next year. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Right?
No, FFP, it's not even tracking Manchester United. Manchester United have sold in this summer 50 million worth of players, young players or academy players, youth players, and FFP not there. FFP was a cover because they are £1 billion in debt. If you look at the amount of wages, the amount of transfers we own still need to pay off, and the debt that we have.
So
FFP was a massive smoke screen.
I wouldn't necessarily look at this negatively. I would say this is just another sign to me that they're running out of road. They're desperate, right? If this is the lengths that they're going to, they're desperate. Long may this continue, because we want to get these fuckers out of our club, right? So if they're doing this type of thing, how much money would this even raise? I mean, I don't even know why they're doing it. It's embarrassing.
It's really embarrassing. And you know what? You can sign up quickly as a member and then get the tickets. And they won't tell people that. They won't. That's what I'm saying to you. They lie. So also, the other thing, what people don't understand, is that actually UEFA take over the stadium. It's a UEFA event. It's not a Manchester United event. It's a UEFA event. And they get UEFA stewards. It's not the same stewards that are there. Usually, it's UEFA stewards. It's laughable, man. There were so many fights. There were so many people kicking off. It was absolute, and they were dancing, they were singing, and they ripped off, they ripped off the sign in the stand next to them.
The banners.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. I mean,
Windy, big up to Windy. Listen, let me just get this one though. 1 second. Windy says, what are we seeing? If Bruno and Rashford aren't succeeding, the team doesn't succeed. Isn't that bigger problem than the two players? Well, yes, you are right. But they are the two that the team plays through.
Exactly. We're relying on
the team plays through those two. We rely because they're the two players that he relied on last season. It's not just on them, it's on the manager. Because they don't put themselves on the football pitch.
They dictate how we play, right? The strength of their personality and the way that I don't know if it's their status in the dressing room. Bruno obviously is the captain. That's why the manager puts himself in a situation where it makes it very difficult to drop them, because he's
100%. 100%. Listen, yeah, big up, ladies, man. Ladies and Nuruddin, I cried my eyes out over United today. Listen, he does it to the best of us. I lost my head. I lost my head and I started effing and blinding. But it's what it is. I felt that Mundo knows me. You know more than most. Not many human beings know me more than Mundo knows me. He knows I'm not an actor. I don't. Raw passion and the raw emotion is there, comes out. I remember I told him the last time I felt like this, Mundo, was the Sevilla game. Remember when I walked out the Sevilla game? I walked out, I think 60 minutes. I walked out because Jose's tactics was Rojo pumped the ball to Fellaini up the pitch into the box. We were playing like Sunday League, not even Sunday League. Worse than Sunday League. So to me, that's what I felt like this game. At the end of this game, that's what I felt like. And my heart was broken for Rasmus. I literally saw his face and my heart was broken because he doesn't deserve this. He played so well, held up that ball, made his own goal from a scraps. Yes, Rashford crossed the ball to him, but he did everything. And Mason Mount should not have come off. It should have been Bruno who should have came off in that game, not Mason Mount. But this is what we are. This is what we have to put up with. Let me just get to a couple of these questions quickly. Big up everybody that gave a super chat. So this Craig made a very interesting thing. He said, "Ask if this is all painful for us as fans. What the f do you think is for Erik ten Hag? Imagine trying to deal with all this on his own. What's all on and off the field? Yes, yeah, 100%." Somebody asked the question, I think. Let me just get to the question. Here we go. Windy made it really fascinating. It says, experts claim it takes 3 years to build. I think 3-4 years. You need 3-4 years. In football terms, you need 3 seasons, over 3 seasons to build a team. We've been rebuilding since Moyes. Every 2 years, United sack manager, and the clock restarts again with every new manager, 100%. That's why I don't want to restart any clock.
Well, can I ask a question around that, right? You talk about a rebuild. At this stage, right, you would expect to see some green shoots, right? You would expect to see at least a defined style of play and a direction of travel. And we're not seeing that. So at what point will we start to see that, if ever, under this manager? Because as pointed out before, you normally use your first season, as we're seeing with, and as we have seen with other managers like Post at Tottenham and Eddie Howe and Emery at Villa. They within a few months of being in charge, even sooner, their team has had a clear identity in how they're playing, and we haven't seen that with Man United.
Because Mundo, he hasn't seen that. He wanted to buy Frankie de Jong was going to be central to that way that we play in midfield, how we play. And then that didn't happen. Then we got whacked. And I think he underestimated the Premier League. We got whacked by 4-0 by Brentford, and he went away from that. He went away from how he wanted to play. We still went and got Anthony. We didn't need to. It's ridiculous. But he didn't. That's how much he doesn't rate Sancho. So how much he didn't rate Sancho. And the biggest thing for me is that he went away from that, and he came out, and I posted the interview. I actually put the clip on here, and I posted it on Twitter. He said, I had to adapt to the players. I couldn't play my style of football. I always have to adapt to the players. And then February onwards, he changed it again to becoming a very mid-low block and counter-attacking. He changed it again.
I don't accept that, though, because I'm seeing Brighton play out from the back with Lewis Dunk. Is Lewis Dunk? No, I don't.
Mundo.
That's
no,
that's an excuse.
No, Mundo. But this is what I'm trying to say to you. So understand this, right? Yeah. Let me break it down for you, because I've thought about this long and hard. So you basically got Brighton, who are not in no Europa League. They went out of the League Cup early. They went out of the FA Cup early. You've got a pattern of play that's already been established severely for a couple of years by Graham Potter. Graham Potter already put the foundations in there, the fundamentals into those players. De Zerbi comes and tweaks it and literally tweaks the edges and really coaches them week to week, because there's zero expectations of that club. There's hardly any pressure. They're the spotlight, the level of Manchester United. Then they have an owner who cares and really cares. Then they have a football structure that know exactly what they're doing. They bring, right? Manchester United, Erik ten Hag was asked, are you training? he said, we're not training because we were playing every 3 days, and he went for 4 trophies. Now, in his first season, Mundo, that's where the manager has to grace. We had the worst start. Sorry, we had the worst ending to a Premier League season in the history of the Premier League. Manchester United, like, it's when I think about it, I think, how did we finish 6th? I think we finished 6th in it, that Ranieri Ollie. I'm like, once. Was it 5th that we finished? Okay.
Talking about the worst ever Premier League season for Man United. We finished 5th because West Ham ballsed up on the last day of the season.
Yeah. So we finished 6th.
Conference League. Right.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I look at that and think, actually, that season, the table lied. The table, I usually say the table doesn't lie, but the table lied because our football was relegation football, but somehow we got the points and teams around us were effed up. So, Mundo, you had Manchester United playing every 3 days. We played a game every 3 days. So the idea of him having players' time with a training ground, and then also what you have to understand, the key player that Ten Hag tried to play through in terms of the way that the people invert, like, in the preseason in Australia, we were playing good football because we were inverting the likes of Diego Dalot, and the connection that where Martial was dropping into certain parts of the pitch, picking up the ball, and then we were playing through that. Martial got injured. Then we had nobody to play through. So at the end of the day, you have to understand the fundamentals. He went for 4 trophies because a lot of our fans said, we've not won a trophy. So this season, we have to win a trophy. And he was the thing, he had to get top 4. So
you should ignore that because which managers come in at Man United post Fergie and won a trophy in their very first season?
Well, that's what I'm saying to him, though. But this is what I'm saying to
you.
Yeah, Mourinho did it, right? But we finished 6th, and the style of football was horrendous. And arguably, he had a more balanced squad than what Ten Hag had. So this whole Ten Hag had to come in and win a trophy. I think many Man United fans, well, I can't speak for everybody, but we probably would have accepted not having a trophy, getting top 4, and playing and seeing progression in terms of how we play, right? Because for me, there's too much short-termism here. We need to win straight away. No, we need to establish a football team that plays a certain way that can be competitive in the long term, right? We've had so many examples of short-termism with the managers that we've had over the years.
But Mundo, that's our football club. Everything is short-termism. That's the biggest thing that's been.
Yeah, Van Gaal was the only one.
No, but Van Gaal, they got him the 5th choice, 4th choice players.
No, but I'm saying he's the only gaffer. He's the only gaffer that come in and said, I have a 3-year plan. No one else come in and said, I expect this in 3 years, and he sacked him after the second, didn't it? So that's the only thing, isn't it? He's the only guy.
And he's the only guy I regret, by the way. Even though we didn't necessarily like the football because we said it was boring, he was the only one who established a clear way of playing. And we actually went to teams like away to grounds like Anfield and Stamford Bridge and actually outperformed those teams in their home. Okay, we didn't get the result, but in hindsight, we probably should have given him a little bit longer than we did, right?
100%. Mundo, we got him we got him 4th choice. We got him 4th choice and 5th choice players. We never got him his 1st or 2nd choice. That's why he went. Look at the players he wanted to sign.
Go ahead, Mundo. But the problem is that and if Ten Hag had done a similar thing to what Van Gaal had did in terms of Van Gaal said, you know what, we got pumped at MK Dons, right? I don't even know what division they were in, right? In the Carabao
League
Cup.
2, I think they were in League 2. League 1 or League 2.
League 1 we went there, we got battered, right? But he didn't care because he was like, you know what, I want to instill a style of play. And he had guys like Cameron, Borthwick, Jackson playing left back, right? Tyler Duckett in centre half, right? And Paddy McNair playing centre midfield. And Manchester United, despite having those players, still went to grounds like Chelsea and had 75% possession and went to Anfield and won, right? Because his philosophy and approach was, I'm going to instill a style of football first and foremost. That's where I think Ten Hag probably has made it.
Mundo, I said it. Mundo, I said it. Mundo, I spoke to you. We had conversations. He burnt the players out. I said this is going to affect us next season. He should not have. He should have got sacked off the Europa League. Maybe if he wanted to win one of the cups, just focused on one of the cups, and then in that time, use the team from week to week, coaching them on the ground, doing the drills. Because trust me, I've helped out my friend who runs a Sunday league team now. I've helped him out. His back five are comfortable on the ball. Every time one of them is on the ball, there's 3 options. There's 3 options. There's always 3 options to pass the ball. This is what we work on with my friend's team. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
3 options the ball to go to. Ball can go here, here, or here.
I have a question for the panel, right?
Let me just get this person's question. I can ask a question. Why the banks are not demanding money back from the Glazers? Well, because Manchester United is big and they still make at least over 600 million a year in terms of revenue. And a lot of the money goes to service that debt. That's why they're dumb. Because when the business is still making money, the banks would always, because what I've been told, that level of capitalism, debt is good. It's not good in the long term because we'll never have FFP. We don't, we'll never have that into that conversation. The debt is actually part of the FFP. The debt. And actually, if they took that money, the debt that we own, and put it into restructure, FFP won't touch us. But they don't do it. Go ahead, Mundo.
The question for the panel, right?
Last question, everybody. But listen, there's over 300 of you in here, and we've not even got 200 likes. Make sure you smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. You're not going to get in-depth conversation like this, where we literally get to the heart of the matter of what's going on with this football club. Go ahead, Mundo.
So I've pretty much expressed my view, right, about feeling that you need to implement or impress a style of football for long-term success, right? So my question is, do you feel at this stage, because I'm yet to see it at any other football club, do you think that Ten Hag, this far into his tenure, given the fact that we've lost 5 of the last 7 games and 7 out of 10, do you think now that he has that time and that leeway to be able to prioritize style over results or not? Do you think he's missed the boat?
I think he's missed the boat, but I think if a real football club will give him this season to mess up and to install that style of play, I would give him this season to install that style of play. And then from the beginning of next season, if we don't see it, then see you later. But I don't think they will. And another thing, what I also think, because of the sale thing that's going on, I think, and Eric Ten Hag came in, the bankers and the Glazers told him, you have to win a trophy. You have to take Manchester United back to being high profile because we want to sell. Big up to Jarvis. Hopefully he might come back. But Mundo, I genuinely think that he should have used the first season as a grace. But then I don't know. I'm not in the face-to-face with him and the bankers and Joe Glazer and Avram Glazer, what they're telling him, what they expected from him. Go ahead, Eski.
Well, yeah, I'll answer. It's a bit of a caveat, right? For me, well, it's a part of a bit of your last question as well that you asked Nuruddin. It's, will he drop certain players? Now, for me, right, I said it on the last stream, he's moving like Gareth Southgate. Now, that's a damning thing. I never want to say that about my manager. I love Eric Ten Hag, right? But I have to call it out. He's moving like Gareth Southgate. When a player's out of form, he keeps picking them. I don't believe in playing players out of form. Your goalkeeper, fair enough. Your outfield players, I don't believe that. I think you got to give him a week or 2. You just got to take him out. You got to arm around him. You have to do something else, especially when he has been trying to play them out of form. Guys, we're in October. It'll be November soon. It'll be the January transfer, and the half a season will go by like that. And these players are still in this rut. So for me, I personally agree with Nuruddin. I'd give him the season. These bankers won't. But if he keeps playing certain players and are out of form and whatever else, I think even the fans at a certain point would be like, well, you're just playing yourself out of a job, really. However, if he plays the kids and he tries to change it around and it still doesn't work, then I think he might still have a bit of time. But I think it all depends on him, to be fair. I think he's kind of given himself the sack with what the things he's been doing. Like some decisions are a bit tricky. Don't get me wrong, he's got bad hands constantly every week. But some decisions he could still be making a lot better. So I think it's a bit of a 2-part question. I think he might have time, but I don't know.
Yeah, but Mundo, one thing we do know about the Glazers and the bankers, they're self-preservation. they will throw you under the bus, so nobody's looking at them. Big up to Yeah. United BT says for fans will excuse bad results if they can see something they can get behind. Bad results with no style of play is the recipe for sacking. I think 100% what Mundo was saying. I think that sums it up, guys.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, if there's a style of play, then you can, because ultimately,
we know the proof. By the way, we know that proof because we saw it with Klopp.
Yeah, you saw it with Liverpool is the proof in the pudding, and even to his own standards, Pep didn't have a great first season at City, right? But that was you could point to personnel as
beat Manchester United to 4th by goal difference, by the way.
Yeah, and at the moment, although we're going in on certain players, I don't necessarily, because I'm seeing teams with lesser players have a system and a style of play, and I've just seen Newcastle pop PSG with Dan Burns at left back and Jamal Lascelles at centre half. Are they world class, world beating players?
Both of them played brilliant, Mundo. You got to give it.
Look how long Eddie Howe's had though at the job. Like I still think it's very early for Ten Hag. Klopp got battered for years. Arteta got battered for years. And like you say, Nuruddin, Pep Guardiola's second season would have been a failure if it weren't for the goal difference. I still think it's very early on in Ten Hag's career.
And Eddie Howe is only 6 months ahead. He only had half a season more than Ten Hag.
But Mundo,
not in this country. Though.
But Mundo, I'm not going to lie to you. What happens with Eddie Howe is that they've got new owners. The chemistry and the connection between the players and the fans is like this. Yeah. The cloud, Mundo, the heavy cloud that hangs over everything. It's like the light. It's like this cloud, this sticky weight over everybody that's pressing the weight that's pushing everybody down, like Newcastle fans, like Mike Ashley was doing, like the Glazers have been doing to us. That went. And the connection, and then the players thought, "Oh, damn! If we give them something, if we show them something, they will give it back to us." And that connection is like that. That's why the other night
Eddie Howe came in under the Mike Ashley ownership.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he did, and he kept losing games. Though, remember, he kept losing games to begin with. Yeah, he couldn't win.
Yeah,
but then what he did, he put a style blueprint because they were already losing. Because the bonus was that for them not to get relegated. So he saved them from relegation. Then he developed this. But while he was saving them from relegation, it wasn't just let's just win at all costs. He was still developing a way of being a physical team. And that's what he's done. He's learned a lot. And people used to laugh at me when I remember I was saying that. Get Eddie Howe, Jose football is crap. And people were laughing at me. They're not laughing anymore. Mundo, it's about the time on the training ground. At Newcastle, relegation, out of all the cups, he had it. The biggest thing about him, that's what I'm saying to you. If Manchester United are not in the Champions League this season, I want us to finish 10th or 9th, Mundo. I don't want anything. You know how I know, Mundo? Because I saw it with Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
No European distractions. 8. And you know what? There were times when he finished 8th twice, he managed to build. He managed to build a playing style. And
you don't get the time when
I'm not seeing that. At Manchester United, you don't, Mundo. That's what I'm saying to you. You don't. You don't get that time. Other clubs, you do. You do get the time. And the reason why they didn't sack Arteta because the Kroenke's son has become involved. He's giving Arsenal the TLC he needs. He's understood he's too old. He doesn't know what's going on. But that's why now Arsenal have to win. In the next 2 years, Arsenal have to win. All that TLC, all that's going to fall apart. The pressure is on Arteta to win this season. And next season. He has to win big trophies. This season or next season.
Yeah, but I think even if he doesn't win, he still has enough credit in the bank with the fans because Arsenal, you can see, I mean, they're going up against Manchester City. So you can kind of, even if they don't win, similar to Klopp with Liverpool, you can say, it's not because my manager's not good enough or the team's not good enough. We're competing against this behemoth football club in Man City. You've got all the resources. They've got fucking cyborg up front, right? They've got a generational manager, and that's what you're up against. So you can kind of, Man United,
you're up against a machine. When they buy players and the players don't work, they just go, okay, Move the player on. Bring a new one.
Yeah.
And Manchester United, we can't get rid of the players he wanted to get rid of. He wanted to get rid of McFred. He wanted to get rid of Maguire. He wanted to get rid of Jadon Sancho. He wanted to get rid of Donny van de Beek. The only guy that's left, the other guy that's left was Fred. And he was like, nah, I'm not, I want to play football. I'm not here for these wages. I want to play football. I don't know what you're talking about, me reaching, but genuinely don't know what you're on about. So you have to give more context. Irachi, you have to give more context. I don't know what you're saying when you're saying to me that I'm reaching. So, and the biggest thing is this: Manchester United is also like the bankers and the Glazers expect top four because Champions League more revenue. So that's why manager cannot be given time to finish 8th or whatever. You're not allowed.
Well, the worst mistake we could make as a fan base is Ten Hag out. So even if you are of the view that Ten Hag should go, even if it gets really, really bad and we are in 10th, I would just say just hold your nerve as a fan base, right? Don't start protesting against the manager. Send all of your air and your frustrations towards the board and the owners, right? Because as soon as you, as you've just said, as soon as you start mentioning the manager, that gives these leeches a way out.
Big time. Self-preservation, Mundo. Self-preservation. And they're so good at that.
The walls are closing in on them. I can see it, right? They're running out of money, right? I would happily sacrifice. I mean, if it comes to the point where we're out of Champions League, we're floundering in mid-table, I would actually take that, right, to a degree, because it puts the pressure on the Glazers. Right. So I'm not about let's finish 4th and let's win the odd small tin pot trophy, because we're not Arsenal, right? We're Manchester United, right? That's the Arsenal of old under Wenger. They were happy for that. Not at Manchester United. Unless we're in the mix for Champions League and League, I'm not interested. Because everything else is lining the owner's pockets. So
that's what it is. Top 4, mate.
If we're not in the mix for those competitions, then let's crash and burn, because that hurts them. Let's hurt them, right? Only if we're in the mix for those big trophies, then I'd be like, yes, let's, I'd get behind it and say, yes, come on. But as soon as we realize that we're not, which might be very soon, it might be December, by Christmas, we need to hold our nerve as a fan base. Let's not go after the manager. Let's just, I'll take it. Let's finish 12th. Let's hurt these fuckers in their pockets, right? Because we need to accelerate this process of getting them out.
There you go. Fred did that. Mundo, big up to Jarvis, big up to Eski. Jarvis, quickly, last word for the show.
Yeah, we have a game against Brentford coming up on Saturday. I think it's a must-win. I think we need to win, and for Ten Hag's sake, we need to win because the pressure is rising, and the players need to perform. And I did some research on Brentford, and it's not going to be easy. In the last 4 games, they lost with 1 goal against Arsenal and 1 goal against who was it? Liverpool. So no, and they draw against Spurs, so it's not going to be easy. And Frank, the manager, he plays he's a system manager, and he got the players he wants because they use the Moneyball principle.
System,
they find the undervalued players with metrics that other overlook. So you have a lot of Danish players that's good. I like Nørgaard, who is in the central midfield. They are ball-playing players. Player. They have Mbuemo, who is good. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I said in the prediction that I hope that United can win 1-0, but I don't think it will be a lot of goals. If we can score, it will be great. But Brentford is a hard team to win against, and it's not going to be easy.
Facts, 100%. People, it's been a pleasure. Eski, last word on the show.
Fucking Glazers out, bankers out, shake your semen. Come on.
Big up. Mundo, last word of the show.
Glazers out. That's the last word out of my mouth. Get these leeches out.
Vultures
Out.
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 Yeah. We're not going to change, people. I'm not going to lie to you. We're not going to change. We're not going to change unless we get ownership who really care and put a plan in, strategic plan, a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 4-year plan, and follow it through. We're not gonna because we're not going to. Our club sold tickets to Galatasaray fans, and they're blaming the fans. Everything you need to know. If you want to have another sign, the mismanagement of Lisandro Martinez's injury. It's incredible. With the level of sports science that you have right now, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. The incompetence, the virus, the no care is everywhere at this football club. And still, there are some amazing people holding it together, holding this club together while every part falls apart. And they're doing an amazing job. There are some amazing, and they love United like we do. So big up to those in the inside who are still trying to hold this club together. But the Glazers and the bankers, we ain't going anywhere anytime soon, people. But love and light, people. It's been a brilliant show. I really enjoyed this show. We have 3 different topics, and we've looked at the questions as well. So big up to everybody who took part. Big up everybody who sent a super chat. Please let people know about the channel on the road to 10K. We don't clickbait people here. We tell it is raw. It's real, first of all, and it's raw, and then it's red. And this is what we try to get heart of the matter, and we interact. No other channel interacts with the chat like we do. So because we're a community, we're together. Everybody's opinion matters. As long as we're not insulting each other and being horrible to each other in the chat, that's what we do. So big up Mundo, big up Eski, big up Jarvis, big up to everybody. So Mundo and Eski, Mundo will tweet as soon as the Glazers go. You'll see Twitter going crazy. Eski, he signed a 100-year deal here for United Real Therapy, so you never find him anywhere else. Jarvis Bowley, make sure you check Jarvis out at Jarvis Bowley. So Jarvis Bowley 77. And Mighty Mundo, you can find him on Twitter at Mighty Mundo. Big up Mundo. And yeah, you can find me there on Twitter. That guy, Red Devil, Mr. Structure. And then for Tom as well, it's at Tom Journalist 1. Make sure you check him out. But you've been absolutely wonderful tonight, people. Big up to every one of you. And big up, honestly. It is what, you know what? One thing we do have, at least we've got this community. At least we suffer together. And imagine we didn't have this community and we didn't have each other. Could you imagine how worse to suffer in silence, to see what we see? So yeah, big up to everybody, honestly. Every one of you. Everybody. Whether we disagreed on points or not. Disagreeing is a healthy part of this. It's not meant in malice. I can disagree with you all day and not personalize it, because I know you mean well for Manchester United. So lots of love. Nah, don't call him that. He's here. We're not calling Chavez Todd Bowley.
Bowley 77.
Sorry, Romeo. But that's it. Bowley 77. And big up Sheikh Arian. Big up Nurin. When can I come on next? Next show, give me a time. Next match reaction. Big up to you. Love and light. There we go, people. Win, lose, draw, Glazers out, bankers out. Always. Take care of each other. Peace.
Peace.
See you later.